Let's go, girls. If it seems a little bit dark in here, it's because it's nighttime. In my defense, it is literally 5 p.m. But, you know, it gets dark around this time now. It's quite lovely. By lovely, I mean fucking horrible. Hello, Shiny Bays! Hello, besties! Let's discuss all of the books I read in November. I'm gonna be telling you if I read it on my Kindle or audiobook or paperback, and I'm gonna be discussing all these books and telling you what I rated it and a little bit about them. No spoilers in any of these videos, of course. So I started out the month listening to this series, which is the Tattered and Torn series by Catherine Cowles. Search up trigger warnings for it. They are all small town with a dash of mystery, basically. Picture Daphne Perry vibes. That's the vibe of this series. Tattered Stars is the first book in the series. Then we've got Falling Embers. And then we have Hidden Waters, then Shattered Sea, and lastly, Fractured Sky. All the covers are absolutely gorgeous. I'm obsessed. And I did listen to these. Like I said, I loved the audiobooks. I loved the narrators. It was such a fun listen. Tattered Stars starts this whole series off, and it follows Everly and Hayes, and it's the base for the entire series, basically. So all of these are interconnected standalones. You can definitely read them by themselves, but it makes way more sense if you go in order and all the characters connect and stuff like that. It's all a big family, which I love, so I would recommend, you know, reading the entire thing. But Tattered Stars, Everly and Hayes, dual POV. Falling Embers, Hadley and Calder, also dual POV. Hidden Waters, Beckett and Addie, again, dual POV. Are we seeing a pattern here? Shattered Sea, Lakin and Bowden, and you guessed it, also dual POV. And lastly, Fractured Sky, Shiloh and Ramsey, and dare I say a dual POV. I rated Tattered Stars 4 stars, Falling Embers 4.25 stars, Hidden Waters 3.75 stars, Shattered Sea also 3.75, and lastly, Fractured Sky 4.5 stars. I did really like this series. The only thing is I did get bored in some of them because I listened to them back to back, and when you do that, it is a lot of the same energy, if that makes sense. So I feel like maybe you shouldn't go all at once, like maybe spread them out a little bit so that you can have more fun with it. But I loved this series. I really, really enjoyed it. I think it's definitely one of those palate cleansers when you're in the mood to just have fun with reading, but also it does have a lot of depth to it too. And the love stories are so fucking cute. With that being said, Hidden Waters and Shattered Sea are the two I rated 3.75. I didn't love these as much as I wanted to. I think Hidden Waters, I was expecting a lot because Addie and Beckett were some of the characters I wanted to read about the most, and then it kind of just let me down because I was expecting so much. And Shattered Sea kind of just seemed like it was like thrown in there randomly. Like I didn't feel like the story was that necessary, to be honest, but I did really like these. I just didn't love them as much as the other ones, so that's why they're 3.75. So my favorites are definitely these, which is Tattered Stars. I just have a soft spot for this one since it's the first one, and we got to see Everly and Hayes throughout the whole series, which I adored. Falling Embers just hit for me. I don't know what it is, but it just itched a scratch I didn't know I had. Hello? Itched a scratch I didn't know I had. I just said that. Is that even a... What is the saying? Itched an itch I didn't know I had? Rubbed an itch I didn't know I had? I don't like the saying either way. Ignore everything I just said. Falling Embers. It surprised me, let's say. And Fractured Sky was just so fucking good. This was definitely the best one. Makes sense because it's the last one. It's also the one you anticipate the most as you go because you get to know Shiloh in the first book, so you really want her book. And by the time you get to it, it's just so exciting and it did not let me down. So the entire series, I really, really did enjoy it. I think it was such a fun listen. I would definitely recommend listening to it. You can also read it. I don't think it's on Kindle Unlimited, but the paperbacks are so beautiful. So you should own them anyway. Definitely one of my favorite small town series after The Edens by Daphne Perry for sure. Then I read Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. This one I read the paperback and it's Josiah and Yasmin, dual POV. Basically, this is a couple that were very much in love and then they got divorced and went through a very rough patch. And now you see them kind of deal with that. You see a little bit of their past. You see them coming to terms with what happened themselves and with each other as well. What I really liked about this book is there was a lot of therapy. There was a lot of conversation about depression and explaining it and kind of just letting you see all sides of it, which I really, really did enjoy as someone who does suffer from depression. This was amazing. I love the way Kennedy Ryan did it. And in typical Kennedy Ryan fashion, it was a love story, but much more than that. You know what I mean? Like I got to know Yasmin so well. I felt like by the end of the book, I just knew her to my core. She was just my best friend. I rated this 4.5. The only reason why this wasn't a 5-star for me is that there was moments where Josiah really upset me. And that's just a personal thing. the things he would say and the way he was kind of pissed me off, but it was so understandable too where he was coming from. So it didn't anger me enough for the book to be any less than 4.5. It just wasn't a full 5 for that reason. But Yasmin was amazing. And there's 2 best friends in this book that are also getting books as well. And that makes me so happy because I can't wait to see what the other best friends have in store for me because I really liked them in the book. They're all so different. And I feel like all the stories in this series are going to be so, so well done, but in different ways. So I'm very excited. 4.5, before I let go, such a good story. If you want something that's emotional and a love story, but much more, like I said, read this book in search of trigger warnings for every single Kennedy Ryan book. Then I read The Co-op by Tara Dewitt. This one's Deacon and Lorin. It's also dual POV. So Lorin and Deacon knew each other a long time ago and they had a little fling and then they didn't talk for 10 years. And now Lorin comes back to the town that they had this fling in because she is going to go sell her grandma's house. However, her grandma's house also belongs to Deacon. It's half his, half hers. Lorin wants to access her trust and she also wants to sell the house, and Deacon also needs money, but she can't get any of that without being married and he doesn't have any of the money to fix up the house. So basically they strike a little deal where they're gonna get married so that she can access her trust and put all the money into the house, and they're gonna rebuild it and sell it for more money. So that's basically what they're doing. Marriage of Construction. It was a really light read, but at the same time, very character driven. I got to know the characters really, really well, and there was a lot of depth to them. Even though the book is more of a light read, there was still some heavier subjects in there, which I really enjoyed. Search of trigger warnings for it. I liked it a lot. I love Tara Dewitt. I really like Funny Feelings as well, so I expected myself to like this one. I rated 4 stars. I was a little bit bored throughout some of the book. I kept waiting for something to happen and nothing really did, but it was in the most enjoyable way, if that makes sense. Like I said, very character driven. Definitely really liked it. I will read anything Tara Dewitt writes. 4 stars. And I did read this one on Kindle, but I do have the paperback because I must. Look at it. It's beautiful. Then I read Mile High by Liz Tomford. This follows Xander's and Stevie in this dual POV, and this is my new favorite sports romance of all time. It is magnificent, you guys. Xander's is a professional hockey player, and Stevie's the flight attendant on his team's plane. And he is like the bad boy of the NHL. He has a really bad reputation for just like hooking up with girls and never dating anyone seriously, and he's just known as like this carefree guy. And then he gets to know Stevie, and that completely changes. But my girl Stevie does not make it easy for him. This book is so fucking good. It is so spicy in the best way because the spice is like emotional spice. Like you really care about the character, so you want the spice to be incredible, and it is. Does that make sense? It's not just spice for the sake of spice, you know? And the characters were amazing. Stevie is incredible. There was diversity in this. There's also plus size representation. Everything about it, immediately yes. And there's also more coming after Mile High too. So I'm so excited for the rest. This was so good. It's so long, but it's one of those that like, even after I finished, I wanted more. I was like, give me more. I would like more. I'm usually the kind of person that by the end of books, I get really bored. I'm just kind of like, oh, I just want this to be over with already. But not with this at all. Every second of this I ate up. Incredible. 5 million stars. I read it on Kindle, but once again, I do own the paperback. Then I listened to I'm Glad My Mom Died by Janae McCurdy. I listened to this because she narrates it and I was really excited to see what that was like, and it did not disappoint me at all. This is a memoir and it's my very first memoir and the only one I've actually ever read. But I loved it. It's literally just her life. It's just her talking about what it's like to be a child star and what it was like for her growing up and what it was like to have her mom and the friendships she had, the relationships she had, the career she had, just everything about Janae McCurdy. As someone who loved iCarly, I really, really wanted to listen to this book, and it just was beautiful, but heartbreaking. So fucking heartbreaking. It does have some like dark humor thrown in there in the way Jeanette like wrote the book. It was just so heartbreaking though. Please search up trigger warnings for this. Very heavy read, but amazing. And I loved listening to her narrate it. Even throughout some parts, like you can hear her voice breaking and you can hear her cry, which made it so personal. Like I felt like I really knew her. My favorite memoir I've ever read. Yes, the only one. Anyway, 5 stars. I'm Glad My Mom Died. Now these next 4 books I'm not going to be discussing. I'm just going to tell you what I rated them because these are coming up in a video I'm making soon about holiday reads. So I'm not going to talk about it now because I'll be talking about it then and I don't want to bore you too much. It's these 4 right here. So we've got How the Grump Saved Christmas by Claire Kingsley. I rated this 4.75. Then I've got Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh. I rated this one 4.5 stars. There's Something About Mary, Cody Hall. I rated this one 4 stars. And 'Tis the Season for Revenge, Morgan Elizabeth. I rated this one 4.5 stars. stars. Like I said, I'm going to be making a holiday video very soon where I talk about all of these. So I'm not going to be discussing right now, but those are all my ratings and I really liked all of these. Then I read Water Under the Bridge on my Kindle, but again, I own the paperback. Anyway, it's by Denise and Kelson. It's their debut novel, so I was very excited to read it. It follows Luca and Avery and it's dual POV. And basically Avery interviews for a job at Luca's company and she doesn't get it. And so she starts working at another company and they both go to this ball gala kind of thing. There's an announcement there where there's going to be a competition to win a lot of money for whatever company wins it. And they're both in the running. So it's a little bit of academic rivals, but like in the workplace because they're not in school. So like workplace rivals, if that makes sense. And it's gonna be sunshine, very spicy. Don't let this cartoon cover fool you. I loved the environmental vibe of this book. Like there was a lot of environmental causes and discussions in it, which I really, really enjoyed. There's also gonna be more books. This isn't the only one. And there are characters that I'm anticipating the most, like Avery's best friend and Luca's brother. I want their book. Anyway, I really liked this book. I rated it 4 stars. There were some parts where I was a little bit bored, which is why it wasn't more than 4 stars. Like I feel like it could have been a little bit shorter, or maybe it could have talked a little bit less about work and focused more on something else. I don't know. There were some things missing, which is why it wasn't a full 5 star for me, but I really, really liked it. Definitely 4 stars. It was a debut novel and it was really good in my opinion. The spice was amazing and Avery's obsessed with coffee, as am I. So then I listened to these 3 little novellas by Will and Ash, which is Devaney Perry's pen name. These were free with like my Audible subscription, so I figured I'd listen to them. Is The Naughty, the Nice, and the Nanny. This one is Age Gap, and it is a nanny romance, single dad, dual POV. Then you've got 3 Bells, 2 Bows, and 1 Brother's Best Friend. This is Brother's Best Friend. Obviously, dual POV as well. And then A Partridge in a Pregnancy trope, and second chance romance as well. It was one of the first times I've seen that happen in the same book, like a pregnancy trope and second chance, which I really like. Also dual POV. All of these were okay. They were cute. Don't get me wrong. I like the story, but I just didn't really feel any Christmas vibes from them. The only Christmas aspect of it is that they're at this Christmas party because they're the Holiday Brothers. That's their names. It's an older brother and then 2 twins, and their family throws a holiday party every single year. And all of these happen at that holiday party. They kind of just happen at the same time, but you see each person's POV throughout. So if you read them all together in order, you'll get to see each story play out, but you can read it separately if you'd like. But I just didn't fall in love with them as much as I really wanted to because it's like small town, Devaney Perry, whom I love. I wanted more Christmas and I didn't get that. Like from a Christmas novella, I want it to be Christmas. For something called Holiday Brothers and like you have like, you know, little holiday shenanigans in the back and little Santas in the front. You want it to be Christmassy, right? There was nothing Christmas about it, in my opinion. So I didn't love them, but I rated all of them 3 stars. They were still very enjoyable listens and very quick too. So I would definitely recommend if you want something quick and fun. The characters in the last one kind of pissed me off. I feel like they were on 2 completely different pages, and if this was a full-length book it would have worked, but for a novella I feel like it doesn't. So this was my least favorite, but I really liked all the characters and I really liked all the stories. I just wish there were more Christmassy vibes to it, but 3 stars, all of them. Then I read The Mistletoe Bet by Maren Moore. This one I read on my Kindle. It follows Parker and Quinn, and I'm pretty sure it's only from Quinn's POV if I remember correctly, but it's a little Christmas novella as well. Very quick, very fun read. Basically, Quinn is the Grinch of Christmas. She doesn't really like the holidays at all, and she comes back home to Strawberry Hollow, which is the small town she used to live in, and sees her brother's best friend that she's known her whole life and that she used to have a crush on, and he makes a bet. He's going to make her fall in love with Christmas again. So you have a little bet going on. You have brother's best friend. You have a little bit of child crush to lover, a little bit of It's Always Been You kind of vibes. Very, very Christmassy, which I did enjoy. This was such a fun read and very spicy as well. Out of Maren Moore's all her books, I think this one was the one I liked the most because I got exactly what I was expecting from it, which was spice, romance, and Christmas. So 3 stars. I liked it. It wasn't my favorite. I don't think Maren Moore is really my vibe because The Enemy Trap and Newspaper Nanny also weren't my favorites, but I do enjoy it. You know, like I have fun reading it. It's just not something I'm going to remember until the end of time. After I put this away, I'm going to forget that I read it, but I did have fun while I was reading it. So if you're looking for a spicy, fun holiday novella, I would go for this. Nothing too special, but fun nonetheless. Then I listened to The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. I love Lynn Painter. I love Better Than the Movies. I love Mr. Wrong Number. You guys know this, so I was very excited to read this one. Listen, it's a Valentine's Day book. Me reading that in November casually, but it's not my fault. It came out in November, so whose fault is it really? Lynn Painter, I think. This book follows Emily and Nick, and it's only from Emily's point of view. Basically, she's reliving the same Valentine's Day over and over again. She wakes up and she's very excited to go see her boyfriend at school and to tell him that she loves him, and she's such a hopeless romantic, very excited for this holiday. And then she sees her boyfriend cheating on her, and she has to relive that every single day, over and over again, like a Groundhog Day kind of thing, but make it V-Day. And then the person that's always there is this boy Nick that she keeps running into. And Nick, you guys, is literally Jess Mariano. What the fuck? Like, there's even a Jess Mariano reference in this. This was such a fun YA read. I love Lynn Painter. Like I said, I love Better Than the Movies. I would say The Do-Over is not as good as Better Than the Movies in my opinion, but that's just because Better Than the Movies is my favorite YA book. But I really, really liked this one. Everything by Lynn Painter is so fun and fluffy, and such a good time to read and listen to and stuff. So I would always recommend. I rated The Do-Over 4.25. Then I listened to Untying the Knob by Megan Quinn. This one follows Riot and Mila. I think that's how you say their names. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, it's dual POV, and this one is another marriage of conciliation. You get to see the couple meet, and you get to see them get to know each other, and fate putting them together constantly throughout the years. And then you get to see 11 years later when she asks for a divorce. So you get past, present, and you get marriage of conciliation, marriage in trouble, marriage on the rocks, marriage fixed, whatever. And it is also a little bit of a sports romance. You don't really get to see the sports aspect as much, but he does play baseball professionally. So you get to see that a little bit in the past chapters, not in the present ones though. And there's a lot of groveling. You get to see this man on his knees wanting her back, okay? So fucking cute. And I think this hit very differently for Megan Quinn because a lot of her books are very funny to me and very fun. And although this one was funny and fun and very spicy, very, very spicy, which I didn't expect, there was also a lot of deep topics in it. There was a lot of background to these characters and a lot to them. So I really, really enjoyed that. I feel like Megan Quinn did a really good job with that. I loved listening to it. I loved Riot. He was great. And I feel like Mila really stood her ground. She definitely had a lot of self-worth, which I loved. I loved seeing her ask for what she deserves. So I liked this book quite a lot. Definitely a fun listen. I really like Megan Quinn. You guys know this. Search of trigger warnings for this one. I rated it 4 stars. Some parts of it did kind of piss me off. There were times that the couple pissed me off and that I just wanted more. But then I did get that by the end, so it didn't piss me off all that much. So 4 stars. Then I listened to Astra Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Blake. The reason why I listened to this one is because it is in third person, and I usually cannot do third person. I love Delilah Green Doesn't Care, which was the first book in this series, and this one's the second. Delilah and Claire is the first one, then you have Astrid and Jordan the second, and then the third one's gonna be Iris Kelly Doesn't Date, I think is the name. It's their other best friend. It's the one I'm most anticipating. Astra Parker Doesn't Fail. This is like an HGTV kind of thing. There's a show going on of this property, this hotel being rebuilt basically, and Astrid is the designer for it and Jordan is the lead carpenter. You have a little bit of animosity to lovers. You have a little bit of co-worker kind of vibes, a lot of representation, which I really did enjoy. This is a sapphic romance. This is small town. Love all of that. I didn't like the book though, which makes me really upset because I love Delilah Green Doesn't Care. Like I said, love, love, love. I think that book is amazing. And Delilah and Claire had so much personality, and it was single mom, small town, opposites attract, like they've known each other since childhood. All of it hit for me. And I expected this one too as well because Astrid is such a complex character. I really wanted to see that. And I felt like I didn't see any of it. Like by the end of the book, I don't even know them. I couldn't tell you a single thing about them. There was no chemistry for me between these characters. I just didn't feel it. I love the concept. I just don't think it was executed well, in my opinion. The HDTV plot was kind of boring too. So I don't know, 2 stars. I'm so sad about this because I was so excited for this book, but it's okay. The glimpses I got of Delilah made it for me. Like literally Delilah. Every time she popped up, I was like, yes, my queen. And I'm so excited to see Iris get her own story. I just think that this one was a miss for me personally. So Astra Parker Doesn't Fail, 2 stars. I think Search of Trigger Warnings. Then I read Mine Would Be You by Kay Jamila. I read this one on Kindle, but it is one of my new favorite books. So of course I have the paperback. I love this book. Let me just say that before I even start talking about it. So fucking good. Stop everything you're doing and read Mile High, and mine would be you. Immediately. This follows Valentina and Jackson, and it is dual POV. You get mostly Valentina's POV though. You do get a little bit of Jackson sprinkled in there. This is basically about getting over your first love and opening yourself up for another love, right? So Nina, I'm gonna call her Nina. Her name's Valentina, but they call her Nina. So anyway, Nina, she had this boyfriend that she has known since she was a kid, and it's been hard for her to get over him, and now he's getting married. So she goes to his wedding, and when she gets to the wedding, the best man is a boy she recently hooked up with, Jackson. You have a little bit of forbidden vibes there, but not too much. You have reverse Grumpy Sunshine. She's grumpy, but not in an annoying way. Like, she's so sweet. You just have to get to know her. She's a little bit closed off. I wouldn't even say grumpy, just closed off and scared to get hurt again. Understandably so with her ex-boyfriend. And then you have Jackson, who is sunshine in human form. He's literally the sun. Like, they describe him as the sun, and I would agree with that. Picture Daisy Calloway, but in a boy. And he was so patient. I think that was my favorite thing about this book, was his patience and how slow they took things and the progress that they made throughout the book. I felt like their love just shined through the pages. Not much happens in this book. There's not much plot. It's literally just them getting a chance to be together. There is some stuff that happens in their lives. Search up trigger warnings for that. There was a lot of therapy, which I loved. A lot of positivity throughout the book. Jackson was amazing. Nina was amazing. I loved their story so fucking much. Please read Mine Would Be You. This was a 5-star for me, easily. I loved the writing. I loved the characters. I loved everything about it. So, like I said, not much happens, but in the best way. It was just such a comfy read. 5 stars, definitely. Then the last book I listened to this month was for my favorite book club. If you guys want to be a part of my book club, you can always go to my Instagram. In my bio, I have the book club there, and you guys can be a part of it. It's free to be a part of it. We just talk about the book, and everybody just kind of reads it together on the same time. I give everybody a month to read it because I know that we all have different schedules. So you can read it whenever you want. You don't have to follow the timeline, and then just talk about it whenever you want with whoever and rate it and all that stuff. So the one for this month was A Merry Little Me Cute. It is by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. I think this is my first book by Julie Murphy, but I do love Sierra Simone. So this book is dual POV, and it's Bee and Nolan, and basically they both get cast to be in this Christmas movie. Nolan is an ex-boy band member who fucks up, and then he's supposed to be cleaning up his reputation. He's supposed to be squeaky clean and not messing anything up. And B is a plus size porn star who gets hired to be in this movie. So you have a little bit of everything in this. It was very spicy, very spicy. I expected nothing less from Sierra Simone, honestly. I loved the sex positivity in this book. That was definitely my favorite part. I loved the representation. I loved the different sets of characters. I really liked the Christmas vibe and like the Christmas movie. I loved having a porn star be the main lead. I loved the spice. All of those things were amazing. But overall, I didn't like the book though. Let me explain myself. I just didn't care. That's all. Like, I liked B very much. And I did like that both of them seemed to be very obsessed with each other. Usually I feel like when you have a book where the girl like knew the guy before they meet, so like she knew him because he was a boy band member and she had a crush on him. But the thing is, he also has a crush on her because she is his favorite porn star. I loved that because I feel like it's usually one-sided. There's no both of them, but in this one it was that way. And I really liked that. It was such a great concept and it just didn't hit like it was supposed to for me personally, which makes me really sad. I didn't feel their connection. I didn't feel their chemistry. I didn't feel like they were in love. I did feel the spice. That was great. That's pretty much it. 2 stars, sadly, but the cover is beautiful. Yeah. Anyway, Shutterbays, those are all the books I read this month. Let me know what you read. Let me know what your favorite book of the month was. Let me know what your least favorite was. Keeping it spicy. Whatever you'd like to let me know. Definitely Mile High and Mine Would Be You were my favorite reads of this month. 1000%. Please read those immediately. I'll be back with my December TBR telling you all the books that I hopefully will read in December. I love you so much, Shutterbays. Have such a good day.